guide, I'm a captain. It's not a job, it's a career. It's a lifestyle. It's everything about me. I do everything from take families out to fishing on the flats to weddings to spreading of the ashes, celebration of life ceremonies on the big boat. I do inshore, offshore. I make memories. That's what my job is.
It is amazingly magical. I get to raise my children literally on an island where my dogs are free to run and play, my children are free to run and play, and I couldn't ask for a better upbringing for them.
A lot of people know you have that magic hour, right when the sun's going down. And it's just like time stops for a good 15, 20 minutes. The sun sinks, the sky turns, just the beautiful purples and pink. And everything comes up to the top for that last 20 minutes. And it's just a beautiful show of what everybody thinks Florida is. It's the fish jumping, the birds diving, the manatees breathing, the dolphins flapping. And that was our life. This is my life for 40 years until this happened.
Yeah, this red tide is moving north. Actually, scientists telling us this afternoon that there are some small levels of it on Pinellas County beaches. And what it does is it kills fish like you see right here on this Anna Maria Island beach. And now scientists are telling us larger animals who can normally handle this for several days are now dying.
The good news about red tide is it gives you symptoms. You might have watery eyes, you might feel it in your sinuses, you might feel a tickle in the back of your throat, you might start coughing. Those are warning signs that something's wrong, and you can get away from that and get out of that toxic environment. The challenge with blue-green algae is that you don't, unless you're in a concentrated area, maybe the back end of a canal that's been festering for a week or more, you don't get those symptoms. But those are the toxins that can 10, 20, 30 years from now affect your are related to neurodegenerative diseases, things like Alzheimer's, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and Parkinson's. Those are the ones you don't see coming.
Things that I'm reading actually keep me up at night. So I'm reading about blue-green algae and the cyanobacteria and the BMAA toxins. I'm reading about, I have a family. I live on the river with my children and my dogs, and I'm wondering about, is this going to affect them long term? Obviously, I worry about the health of my entire family, the health of the ecosystem, the health of all of the wonderful manatees that I see pass by. I see dolphins go by my house, manatees. I've even seen whales go past my house. These are things that keep me up at night.
After June 1st, when they started letting the water out, I saw the writing on the wall, and the algae came quick, and it bloomed quick, and I hung it up. My moral compass reads true, and as a human being, I can't take these people out, because these aren't just people. These aren't just clients. These aren't just a number. These are friends and family now that I've taken out for 5, 10, 15, 17, 18, 20 years. I know their birthdays. I know their kids' birthdays. We call each other on holidays. As a human being, it's my duty to protect the people I care about. And as a captain, that's my job. A lot of people think you're a captain, you go catch fish. That has nothing to do with it. My job is to keep you safe.
Early on in this episode, we were getting calls from the media saying, what would happen if you touched blue-green algae? And all I could picture were a couple of boys double-dog daring each other to go down and touch the water. And when their fingers came back and they were still attached and they hadn't eroded, they'd say, see, it's not dangerous. And we saw too many people recreating, swimming, fishing, tubing in waters covered in blue-green algae, and they don't even know what's coming.
Well, obviously, anytime there are toxins in our bodies, it destroys our ability to function properly for not just our brains, but all organs. So, what I think we're seeing here is a manifestation of what myself and what other people have been talking about for many years. I mean, our oceans are, and in this case the rivers also, our waterways are in dire straits. And this is, there have been many wake-up calls. Look at all the dead zones in the ocean that have been increasing. Look at the fact that 90% of all marlin, swordfish, and big tuna are gone from the ocean. We've ignored these things for years. And the question is, how are we going to get ourselves to pay attention to it? This is a huge wake-up call.
And when I get these calls, and I get them daily, how's it going? What's it look like? What's going on? I have to tell these people because I care about them. I care about their kids. I care about their family. That it's not good. And there are a lot of things that, you don't hear on the news that are realities. And it's terrifying. And when you explain this to someone that's never heard it before or not abreast of the situation, what we have going on there, it's like a bad movie. They're in shock. But this is the day we live in.
Who ever thought, though, that by this blue-green algae coming in to the oceans, that it's going to affect the red tide? I mean, so the blue-green algae is toxic, right? But it's now kind of affecting the red tide and putting that on steroids in terms of being toxic also. Nobody ever dreamed that there'd be this combination of the blue-green algae with the red tide creating all this toxicity. It just shows how little we know and how unconscious we are. I mean, that's the scary thing. But that's all about being in our heads, right? We don't know things, we don't pay attention to things, and that's why I'm saying we've got to change our relationship to the earth, to nature, to the oceans, and get our hearts involved. It can't be just a head thing. That hasn't worked, because here we are in this really dire situation that nobody would have predicted in a million years.
And until somebody has an exposure to and a love for something, they are not going to fight for it. They're not going to care about it. So I feel very sure that getting all of the environmental groups that have an educational component have their work cut out for them to educate children about their natural world.
The toxins are real. Department of Health misspoke by saying that the aerosol toxins don't exist with blue-green algae. They do. There is no science to support that statement. There's good evidence that these health issues are across the world, being expressed across the world. Why is Florida the largest recreational shoreline state in the lower 48? Not one of the 22 states that have standards and protocols for blue-green algae.
The water that damages our fisheries on the coasts is the same water that the Everglades and Florida Bay desperately needs. So it's a matter of, it's simple, recreate marsh to clean that water, create holding facilities and basins to store the water so that it can be delivered to the Everglades when that water is desperately needed in drier times.
Somebody came back just recently and said, "How was your summer?" I don't know. Wasn't very good. But they were somewhere else and weren't in the midst of it. And we don't have scratch and sniff postcards that we can send to help people understand how desperately awful seeing 2,200 tons of dead marine life is. That's like 2,200 dead African elephants. Can you even imagine? We have individuals who serve in restaurants or work in grocery stores or offer tours or fishermen who guide tourists on recreational outings. They're losing homes. They're going to food banks. They're having to get support for surviving. This is unbelievable.
I am optimistic that we're in a place where we have the ability to make huge progress for future generations. We're in a better place than we've ever been before. The challenge there is keeping everybody motivated and engaged when our water quality issues or the symptoms of those issues clear up.
People are so optical these days. They look down and if they see clear water, they think it's clean. Make sense? So to me, you can look down at two buckets. You can look down at a bucket of water and you can look down at a bucket of bleach. They're both clear. Doesn't mean they're both clean. So for me, I want to make sure that we kind of keep moving forward in this path of water quality. Let's work on our water quality all over the entire state. I'm hopeful because I've seen more people be passionate in the state of Florida about this one issue than I've ever seen before. People are taking this very seriously, and that gives me hope.
These are things that have solutions. They're known problems, there are known solutions, and they are, in effect, low-hanging fruit that can be addressed. But you have to have the political will. And for that, you've got to have some understanding of cause and effect.
Well, I hope that our politicians do the right thing. Regardless of how it's been for years, it's time for a change. You don't have to admit you were wrong. I don't need that out of you. But what I need is a change. What I need is support for our water. What I need is for people to be valued more than money. That's what I need.
So I think the disaster has given us a chance to wake people up, to connect the dots, and to engage them in ways. But it's not a short-term battle. It's not going to be a short-term fix. Everybody has to understand that they have to bring their superpowers to bear in changing the future.
Well, we're doing lots of things, none of it fast enough, always constrained by money and policy. But there's good news. We've got a multi-billion-dollar construction projects underway that will provide salinity balance. We have legislation on the books that will deal with some of the water quality. We are putting some money towards septic to sewer and tertiary water treatments. All of those things are progress. They're very slow. We're in crisis time, but there are solutions being implemented. They're never fast enough. They're always too expensive. Some of them may not work, but if we don't try, we're not going to make much progress.
The ability for us to spread messaging effectively and rapidly greatly increases the voice of our supporters, making it to our policymakers.
What I hope happens is that there's a change of heart. What I hope happens is that they look at their kids and then they start fighting for the right reasons.
And in my opinion, the only way we're going to be able to address this crisis in the ocean from these many, problems that are coming up is that people have to fall in love with either the animals or the ocean. It's only love that's going to solve these problems. And what's happening now is most people spend about 5 minutes a day outside in nature. We don't have the love and concern for the nature that we used to. And until we can bring that back, it's got to be a combination of our hearts and our minds. You can't just talk to people about science. It doesn't move them. We've got to combine the heart with the mind in order to begin to even think about saving this planet.
These are my dolphins. These are my manatees. These are my snook. I have delivered the manatees' babies that I've seen disappear. These are mine, and it hurts me to see them gone. But what I'm here for is my son. This is all he knows. This is his way of living. This is all I know. This is how I teach him kindness, respect, understanding. I teach him on the water because that's all I know. So what's more important for me than the money that we're losing, and it hurts the animals and the sea life and the fish, this is about my son, because I want to make a change and I want to do the right thing. And if I see something that can help, I'm going to help for him.